When I was younger, before I learned what the word anime was, there was a series that I loved. It captured me with its fight sequence to that of its humor. The story of a spiky-haired alien and friends saving the world from different threats. Dragon Ball Z was the first shonen series I watched, and it created a love for the genre, one that has dwindled and grown depending on the stage of life I'm at. And maybe it's this sense of nostalgia I have for Dragon Ball Z, Bleach, and Naruto, despite never finishing the last two series and just seeing the Android and Cell games this year. Despite watching the rest of DBZ. Honestly, I'm not sure how it happened. Black Clover was a show that called out to me to give it a chance, begging and pleading for me to try it, but I kept telling it no, because there is a bit of disdain to Black Clover in the anime community due to its poor start. Although it has improved, I was set on the initial reviews, scared to dive into the series, but with quarantine entering its seventh month. Has it really been that long? I decided to, in a moment of sheer boredom, to accept the siren song and start Black Clover. As I watched the show, I became genuinely interested in the story and the characters, to the point that I was disappointed that there were no more episodes to watch when I finally caught up, slowly watching Asta go from a loudmouth annoying brat that you just want to hit with the biggest fly swatter you can possibly find to a person that you could see yourself hanging out with. Asta is like a CEO almost, never quite knowing what it means to give up. When faced with a large wall blocking his next path, he will keep punching it no matter how long it takes. He's almost relentless when it comes to this, constantly pushing himself, training himself, improving himself. He has to, because him becoming the next Wizard King is as likely as someone never dying in Dark Souls. Possible? Yes, but highly unlikely? Combine that with his adopted brother Yuna, one of the most gifted mazes born this generation, sharing the same admiration. The odds aren't in his favor, but Asta uses this as a reason to become stronger, never giving up when the odds are stacked against him. And although this can be off-putting at first, and a bit awkward, but it grows on you, even becoming the character trait of his, I found myself enjoying the most, never wondering if he could, but how was he going to push past his limits? On the flip side, Asta's loud mouth in the first few episodes is quite painful, almost unbearable if you watch it with the original audio track. The dub doesn't have this issue, and brief side note, the dub is fantastic, which is what I mainly watched. Anyways, his loud mouth is not without warrant though. He does this for two reasons, as a nervous tick and to try to be noticed. Because in this society, he's the lowest on the totem pole. He lacks mana, and he's a peasant. If this loud mouth of his was the driving force for you dropping the series, it does lessen a considerable amount as the series goes on. One of the biggest issues a long-running shonen series will run into is the power creep. And for long-time viewers of the genre, you will know what I'm talking about. But for newer viewers, the basic problem is this. You have villain at point B, heroes are at point A, heroes rise to point B and defeat the villain. Then a new villain shows up and they're at point C, and we repeat this process. This makes for the show to be interesting. It allows the characters to grow and increase the stakes. The problem is it starts to get a little ridiculous going from saving the town to saving the multiverse. In recent years, there has been a few ways in order to try to solve this issue. For example, My Hero Academia shows us the power creep early on with All Might. Black Clover, on the other hand, divides by 0. No matter how powerful a magic attack is, Asta can cancel it. This allows for the increase in power not to feel ridiculous and out of place, because it has a counter. At the same time, it does not mean it needs an increase in power level to make the battles interesting. Much more, it's the different fighting style of his opponents and how Asta and the Magic Knights work together to defeat them that makes the fights interesting. It's a puzzle for them to solve. Black Clover also does a fantastic job utilizing fight scenes to move the plot forward with character development. Each of the battles allows for a character to grow and learn as they fight. These moments of character development don't feel odd being forced in there during these fights. They're very much related to and tied into each of these characters. Take Noelle, for instance. One of her traits is that she can't hit her target with a magic blast. This is rooted in self-doubt that was brought on by years of abuse by her siblings. Her working her way through this inner conflict during the fight sequences makes sense. It's limiting her ability to help her fellow Magic Knights. Outside of the character development, there's also this clear conflict between duty of the Magic Knights and the goal of their adversary, be that the Diamond Kingdom or the Third Eye, and because of it, there's never this feeling of two idiots punching each other. This dichotomy of the two mindsets propelling each of them to continue to fight brings a psychological element to the fights. And the episodes where the characters relax becomes more for it. We can relate to having a vacation after a tough day. And what better crew to hang out with than the Black Bulls? Yep, the Black Bulls. The worst of the Magic Knights. A team so bad that most people that get recruited from them would go, no thank you. It's the class 3 each of the Clover Kingdom, filled with one-dimensional characters defined by a single trope. Stuck-up noble, sister complex, drunk, etc. But as the series goes on, this ragtag crew becomes more than one dimensions. A key part of their characters for sure to easily describe them and make them feel unique from one another, they become much more rounded characters. Each of them are broken in their own way, and it's less of a unit and more of a family because of this. Watching this family grow together is where the show really works. The big moments are exciting, from their willingness to give up their freedom or commit treason in order to save their fellow members. But it's also the small interaction between all of them where the heart of the series shines. You get this genuine sense that they respect one another, but they can't stand each other, as a family does. Getting annoyed at someone who is so quiet, it's impossible to hear them, or has a large sister complex, is understandable. It's something we can see ourselves doing, or might have done with our friends or family. But when it comes down to it, they really care for each other. Outside of the Black Bulls, the way the Clover Kingdom operates at large is interesting, from the way the different squads are structured and interact with one another, to that of the class system and the society's stigma that is placed onto the commoners. You get this fundamental sense that the kingdom is at the start of a transition, from that of a class-based society to something else, with the use of the Black Bulls and the Golden Dawns. They both view their commoner members very differently. For the Golden Dawns, they're lower than the nobles, a nuisance for them, where the Black Bulls view them as an equal. This is in part due to the noble members of the Black Bulls being abused and neglected, never having a family, so they can easily accept their commoner co-workers. But it also gives us this chance to view this transition from the traditional mindset of the Clover Kingdom to that of something new with the use of the character class. A member of the Golden Dawn transforming his opinion of Asta and Una from common filth to members of the Magic Knights he respects and cares about. This is further explored with the use of the two captains of the Silver Eagle and the Crimson Lion, two royals. They both view and treat Asta very differently. The former at first viewing him as a weakling that does not understand his place, but to the latter he sees Asta as an equal in their quest to be the Wizard King, even viewing him as a rival. This transition is being triggered by the current Wizard King Julius, a fine politician able to command the respect of the nobles and both inspire commoners and give them the respect that they desperately need. Outside of the Clover Kingdom, you have the various nations, each of them distinct in their own ways, with their own culture and ideology perfectly encapsulated with their playing card suite. The Heart Kingdom has a focus on nature and tranquility. The Diamond Kingdom is rough and tough, willing to do almost anything they need to achieve their goals. Having a whole class of students fight each other battle royale style until only one is left is a perfectly normal thing to do in the Diamond Kingdom. This world politics is sprinkled throughout the first saga, always giving us a sense of what is to come beyond the current storyline, allowing the show to keep steamrolling its way through, only giving us a brief second to rest when the first saga is completed. The thing about Black Clover is, even though I enjoyed the characters in the series, the world around it, and it might have been this sense of familiarity I had with the series, it's a post-modern shonen series, stealing elements from its various predecessors. And this is not a bad thing. Heck, Quentin Tarantino has made a whole career out of it. The magic is how these different elements blend together to create something new. But that being said, the series does have its issues. The frame rate of the series can be painfully choppy and a bit lagging at times. This is mostly due to the production of the series being non-stop, like we are in 2022, baby, believe it. The first few episodes are manga canon with a mix of filler, the filler taking up a large chunk of the episodes. And although my original fear I had was filler arcs, surprisingly there is no filler arcs so far. Just a few recap episodes every so many episodes, which is kind of nice for a long running series. You do have to spend about 8 hours of your life until the show really starts to pick up its stride, but once you do, it's an endearing and entertaining battle shonen series. Black Clover isn't a perfect anime, and it does have its problems. It won't make you rethink what anime or the shonen genre can be, but I don't think it has to be. It's a series in the simplest way. It's just fun to watch, and that's okay. Anyways, if you see my fiancée, let her know that I'm trapped in the dungeon feeding the magical creatures. I'm the forgotten critic, and once again, I have been forgotten. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment.